Hey guys, how's it going? August 7th, 2021. Actually, I'm just going to grab a drink now that I think about it. I'll show you something, or at least give you an idea of what I've been up to or breathing new life in today. Actually, I've been playing a game most of the day. I've purchased what the hell is it called? Can't think of the name of it now. Ran across a game that was interesting. It had a subway, but it was kind of mixed. It was kind of mixed with trains and survival, kind of like GTA in a way, but what is it called? It's on my desktop. I will find it. Metro Sim Hustle. That was I mean, it has a ceiling. That game definitely has a ceiling. It was only $20. I mean, you could say I probably got more. Probably have gotten more out of, what do you call it? What the hell was the stupid game I was playing? Or sim game, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we were still running, I want to call it Freight Yard Manager. It's not Freight Yard Manager. Freight Yard Manager is much better. Train Sim World 2. So I suppose I would have got more time out of it, but it's something I know I could always go back to and have a little bit of fun. But there's a ceiling on it. I can see it's coming, but it's some fun stuff. Yeah, still fun stuff. I still got a ways to go in it, and it doesn't put me to sleep. That's for damn sure. So that's good. Anyways, that's not what this video is about. This video is about something else I ran across. So, like I said, I have been, as far as creative juices, I have been totally out of ideas, really, as to how I wanted to do it. I mean, the only way I could think of was I go to a 2D approach and try to look at a few things at 3D. I was starting to see, like a couple days, as about early as a couple days ago, I was looking into benzine or curves or whatever the hell you call them. Here's where I ran into an issue. So I downloaded an asset a few months back, our group of assets for having trains into Unity. And I even got the cars to move on straight track. The asset pack has straight track. It has the trucks. It has like it's an old lumber kit or something like that. I mean, it's nice looking. The problem is it's only straight track. So what am I really going to do with it? I have no idea. Great for a scene, but other than a pretty scene, it really doesn't. I mean, yeah, I can move it. I could apply the force I needed to get it to move, and program it or do whatever else I had to do with it. But other than that, and I mean, it had the physics, it had everything. I mean, the physics are right in the game engine. You don't have to worry about that. But so I was kind of perplexed as to how to do it, and for a while after that, I was looking for first I was looking for curved track, then I was trying to figure out ways of building a curve, and then I more recently were trying to think about meshes, and do I get it's like some type of mesh bender or some type of thing, and how do I do it? Like, do I have to go into creating curves on my own by using a 3D program and just create all kinds of different radiuses? Like, I didn't know what to do. It's a lot different than going into trains and saying, well, here's a spline, make the curve, and here it is. Trains is much more set up to do that. Trying to do this is a little bit different, and I don't know how trains does it. I don't know how any of the sims do it. I suspect if there's one sim that does it that I know for pretty certain, that has enough physics to where the cars actually can bounce off the rails if you take them too fast into a curve, that would be Derail Valley. I was going to get into that today, and then I realized I don't think I have it. I played it once, so maybe I still have it. I don't know, but maybe it was a free demo. I have no idea. But who knows? Maybe I have it. It sounds familiar. I just seem to recall doing something with it at one time. But the reason why I say Derail Valley is because Derail Valley's physics engine will allow a derail to take place. My goal is not to have a derail. I don't care about having a derail. My goal is to use real-world objects to represent the train that's going to run on it, so that I don't have to calculate physics as much. Sure, you're still dealing with air pressure, you're still dealing with, well, really all you're dealing with is air pressure. That's would be the main calculation. Perhaps, fuel pressure if you want to consider the engines and all that other stuff. But other than that, air pressure is the main non-physic driver that you can represent the volume of air if you really want to, but nah, I would much rather calculate it. It's much easier. So yeah, air pressure, I'm going to have to make an educated guess as to how long it takes to get down the line and all that other stuff. So yeah, I'm still thinking in lines of a 3D simulator, obviously. And so I was looking at curves and different things and how to get them into Unity, and I started looking at the what do you call it? Oh, yes, I think it's called, what was it, 3D, whatever the hell the damn thing is. Scott uses it. But it's not really 100% compatible with Unity. You got to go through, you still have to use Blender to get it to work right, or something to do with the colors. I don't know. And, it didn't make sense. Now, when you look at this screen, this is Probuilder's main feature page for Unity. You might be looking at this and saying to yourself, geez, that looks kind of cheesy. It's primitive, yes, but you can get more detailed than that. In fact, I don't know if you can get more detailed into here, but I have seen smooth surfaces. I've seen all kinds of crazy things. I mean, yeah, you get that detail, but I've seen even more smoother surfaces than what their site is showing. I can get into other things, but it is what it is. Yeah, here's so I mean, yeah, you start getting into some of this stuff. I mean, this is starting to look really nice. Mixing Probuilder and Polybrush. I mean, there's all kinds of things now that it's starting to go into. And I've seen like these round walls. Like here's an example right up there. When I start seeing stuff like that, suddenly, and this is, you can control the radius, especially over a long period of time. If you have a shape that's long enough and it's around a radius and you want to have a certain length of track go for so long, well, all of a sudden I see this and I think to myself, okay, well, all I have to do is extrude this, have it that goes a certain radius, and suddenly I have a rail. And that's the key, because once I have that, suddenly, okay, that's art design. That's not the Probuilder, but I think that's part of it in there. We'll be talking about it, but Um, yeah, so here's Probuilder here, and you can see, you know, it looks like a donut, like basically donut shaped type things. So you get into the round, uh, the round kind of things, like stuff like this, which looks half decent, really. It's really more for, like, there's tools just built in, and it it really, and we're talking about 2018. I mean, it's much better. It's got better features now into it. Um, so I mean, you know, you're looking at towers and stuff like that. It's a little blocky, but it's made for prototyping. And you know, look at that, 2021, and that's Probuilder, and this is in Unity. I mean, that looks pretty damn cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a lot of assets in there too. I'm pretty sure. I don't think that's all that, but uh, what is that? Okay, so there's a static. I don't know what that is. That doesn't seem right. The Unity 3D Pro Builder Essentials course. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. So, I mean, now you take a look at this. What does it look like to you? You know what I mean? Suddenly you got one of these, and all like, okay, well now I got that, and I've got another circular this. Well, guess what? I can make a truck. I can make the trucks. I can make the rails. If I can do all that, and yes, it's not going to look as cool as some of the other 3D stuff out there. That's not the point. I can always change that later. I can always get somebody who knows what the hell they're doing with artist stuff. My thing is, I got to get something started. I would rather have something. Now, just doing a 2D, if I do a 2D, okay? So, first of all, looking at geometry for anything here. First of all, most cars, geometry wise, are pretty simple. You take a look at any one of those cars, with the exceptions of the engines, the hoppers, the center beams, the station, like right there. I mean, I'm looking at objects all over the place. The rails, no problem. You know, even the ties, if I wanted to go that far, although I probably would paint them. It doesn't take that much, and you can combine all kinds of things. A lot of things around the world are not so. I mean, they are geometric shapes. So the railroad uses geometric shapes. So a lot of the stuff that I would be building is geometric. That was a problem I was running into. It was just like, okay, well, I could do a cube, and I could make a cube whatever size I want. But what Probuilder does is it allows you to basically do any type of object, and then allow you to do smoothness. It's really, really simple and fast. I've looked at some of the tutorials, and it looks like child's play. And I'm telling you, I've gone through Blender, and Blender just confuses the hell out of me. Yeah, okay, yeah, the donut thing, fine, I can follow that. But once you're beyond the donut, it's just like, okay, well, now what do you do? How do I make this, or how do I make that? And don't get me wrong, I'm sure it can be done. People do it all the time. I got Blender installed here. I'm ready to go. I've got the latest Unity. I've got whatever else I need. I don't know if that's the latest Unity, but anyways. So I've got all these things that obviously I'm ready to go. And it just, I was up against this wall. And I couldn't get by, and I couldn't figure out a way of how to do it. So I started thinking, well, maybe I'll try something else. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll procrastinate. Maybe I'll, who knows? Maybe I'll start running trains again. Oh, wow, Train Sim World's free. Let me try that. See how long that lasted. That barely lasted, that lasted a week, and I was done. And there's nothing out there. I mean, you look at the engine. I mean, I see a lot of geometry on that engine. Sure, there's a lot of things that, like number boards and stuff like that. Okay. The texts are part of Unity. I can easily do that. Fuel tanks. An engine like that doesn't take that much. It wouldn't be perfect. It would take quite a few different pieces, but I could probably make an engine like that. And it may not have a 3D cab on the inside, or maybe it will. Who knows? Why not? I can get it to go inside and look through the window, and okay, fine, cool. But you see, the rails are the big things. Those rails, okay, straight on. If straight on is not a problem, I've been fine with that. Getting the ballast and all that other stuff, that's not a problem. Trees, different thing with Unity, but there's a lot of different objects. You can get trees and all kinds of things, so I'm not too worried about that. Like I said, I'm not, it's, for me, here's the thing. Eye candy, I just basically proved it, and trust me, I really wanted, when I had Train Sim World in my hands, at first I thought to myself, oh, this ain't gonna last long, but I'll give it a try anyways. I had low expectations for it. Then I was starting to feel it. I was really feeling, kind of addicted to it suddenly. And I was like, this is cool, because I was ready to go on to the next thing. I wanted to do the next thing. That's an addictive good sign. That means you're coming back for more. You're eager to do more. And then I got on to, I was going through the switching things. The switching things got old real quick, because that ain't switching. And then I got onto the mainline runs. The mainline runs just killed me. I'm like on double track like this, going 30 miles, 25 miles an hour up freaking Sandcut or whatever the heck it is. And the first time I only saw 1 or 2 trains. The next time I saw 5 trains. You think 5 trains got me excited? No. It was just worse. Suddenly it was just like, okay, wow, we went from 2 trains to 5 trains. Whoopie-doo. It's like I don't care. There's nothing to it. I mean, when you look at a yard like this, you look at something like Port Robinson here. This is where my passion lies. I want to be able to have a train come into a yard, and basically, if you can't do it as a player, I want the AI to be able to do it for you. You might think, well, why would you want the computer to do it and you just sit back and do nothing? It's because the way I play, or the way I want to play, is I want to feel part of a system. Which is why multiplayer was awesome for Run 8. And I don't want to talk about Run 8. Okay, Run 8 was Run 8. It's done. And I know I keep bringing it back. But that is the prime. I'm not letting that go. I won't let that go until I replace it. And I haven't been able to. Nor am I going back to it, because the best has already happened. It ain't coming back. The only way it's coming back is if there's improvements to the version or smaller regions come out. That's the only 2 things that can happen. And and it's sad because recently I was just like, man, I'm gonna go back to trains. I thought about doing that earlier today. Or not earlier today, or yesterday. I was at work or whatever, and I was thinking to myself, man, maybe I should go back to trains. Maybe I could just make up some goofy territory and just do something, make up a yard. Don't have a prototypical, or don't have it based on any particular prototype, and just have fun. And I may still do that if this is a fail. There's no guarantee I'm going to make this work, but the odds are looking better now. So I'm happy about that. But then again, I've been excited before, and then another wall comes up, and suddenly it's just like, okay. Because really, I mean, yeah, you got the help of the Unity community, and there's a lot of tutorials on this. There's all kinds of things out here. The problem is, you've got unique situation or a unique circumstance, and trying to get people to understand what it is you're trying to make, or what it is you're trying to get. There's a lot of challenges ahead for me. This is all new for me, especially the 3D side of things. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen a few months from now. I'd be really fortunate if I had a prototype that was able to at least move in with the yard with working switches and all that other stuff. That'd be really cool. I'd like that. If I can get that going, and I'm not talking about AI, I'm just talking about being able to run something myself. If I could get that going, that'd be really cool. And I mean, every image that I take a look here, every image that I've taken, with the exception of the trees and some of the extra clutter around and stuff like that. I mean, you can even do barrels and all kinds of other things in there, so it's not that bad. Natural items like trees and stuff like that, that's a different thing altogether. Something like a windmill like that can be done in Probuilder. Any house can be done in Probuilder. I mean, utility poles can be done in Probuilder. All you do is you apply a texture to it, and boom, there it is. It's not that difficult. It's a straight line, with a T section at the top, cylindrical or whatever. I mean, yeah, you could do the cylindrical thing too, but it makes it much easier when you're able to, basically extrude something at the top, bring up something else, extrude something else, and boom, there you go. You have it. And then if you need to smooth something, or you need to do something else with it. I mean, I look at these scenes. The only thing, the natural things in there are the trees. Well, I can deal with trees because I can find trees. There's trees all over. There's tree assets everywhere. Those are easy. I mean, take any tree asset. It doesn't matter. I mean, yes, the trees are important. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you want it to, yeah, unless you're modeling in a desert, which I'm not. But everything there. I mean, the lift bridges. I see geometry. I see geometry pretty much everywhere there. And the more important thing is the actual rolling stock and the rails themselves, full of geometry. The only hurdle that I have now is getting the bezel tool, which is part of this Probuilder, getting it to work the way I want it to. If I can get it to do it, which I'm going to find out very soon, because I've got to do it. I'm scared to do it because I'm almost scared to fail. It's like I want to keep the pipe dream alive. It's not really a pipe dream anymore because it's close. It really is. It's that close. It felt like a pipe dream, but now it's just like, okay, well, wait a minute here. I mean, can I do this? And it's just a lack of confidence because I've I bet so many freaking walls and then convinced myself, okay, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I'm just not a programmer. I'm just not a good developer. I can do text based crap. And I could have gone to text based. I was going to go to a yard master type thing. I was going to do 2D. I was going to do 2D. I was thinking about it the other day. I had no ambition to do it whatsoever. I just couldn't get into it. Like once you have a taste of what a 3D's like and what's missing, once you have a taste of what you're missing, suddenly it's just like, okay, this is what I'm missing. So how am I going to get it? So when you know you had something at one time that was so good and you want to find a way to recreate that, what do you do? Do you wait around forever for version 3 to come out? No. I gave up on that a while ago. I mean, yes, I'm still thinking, well, maybe. And I'm sure it might come out. Whatever. I don't care. I mean, do whatever the hell it wants to do. I'm not worried about it. I can't control that. What I can control is I still have creative juices in me, and I still have some ambition that I want to be able to get something. I don't like mediocrity. I don't like sitting and not having a plan or some type of thing. I mean, the rest of, I got enough. Like I've had a little issues worried about the real world, as I said the other night, a couple days ago. I mean, yeah, I've got a lot of things. I don't really want to think about that right now. When I'm doing something or developing something virtual, I'm not worried about the real world. I want to escape from that. So this is where I see it as I can do it. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, what do you need the rail for? Why is it so important? Because I don't know what simulators actually use the physical geometry of the rail to represent how the train is going to run down the tracks. I'm not 100% sure of that one. When I look at, I took a real good look at, I took a look at, in fact, I was looking at Train Sim World 2, and I was zooming nice and close into the track and seeing how the wheels fit in between the tracks nicely. And I thought to myself, I mean, yeah, it could be, but then again, it could be just placed perfectly so that when it's going along the curves, it knows. I mean, if it's really physics that's happening, you should start seeing a give. You should start. You hear the flange noise whenever you hear a train going around a curve, and you get the flange noise because you're at its limit. You're getting it close to its speed limit. You're basically rubbing up against the one side. That's what makes the flange noise. So the flange of the wheel just it starts squeaking. That's what that's all about. The only one that I think, like I said, that I know that does that is Derail Valley. I don't know if the others do it. Um, Beats the hell out of me. I don't even know if Trains does it, to be honest. And for all I know, they could just be objects that just happen to be 3D objects, but they have no bearing on a physical 3D to 3D property. And that's the beautiful thing about, the way I'm thinking about with Unity is I want it to be. I want those wheel sets to actually be on the track. I want the flanges to be in between so that they're basically guided. I don't want to have waypoints. I don't want to have constantly calculate where the curve's coming. The physics inside are good enough that I can get the train to move. The train will move on grades. The train will move by weight, adhesion as well. These are all factors that are inside the Unity engine that I could deal with once I have it moving. Once I get it going around a curve, the only next obstacle would be the switches, but I already have ideas of how to deal with that. I mean, that's once I've got the curve, then making the switches is just a matter of taking a few smaller steps, having a swivel arm. I think figuring out how I want to do the frog, for example, but you just take a look at the prototype and how it does it, and you have your guardrails, you have everything else going into the actual frog section. It's just basically like it's very similar to what a diamond is, except it's able to the flange is able to pass through. If that made any sense. I don't know if it did. Sometimes I don't think people understand what it is I'm thinking. But I woke up nice and early today. I'm a little bit tired tonight now. Probably go to bed at 11. But that image there down below was the 2D version. Now that one was not on 3D rails. That was when I first started out, and I was going to do a 2D version, and I was okay with it. I had a nice, a good enough light source and everything else. If I can't get the rails to work, I'm pretty optimistic now with the builder portion, at least, that I can get some half-decent models built. So I'm actually happy enough to try it. And if it looks, if it doesn't look perfect or whatever, that's fine. It doesn't have to look perfect. I want it to give the impression, even if I can't show the bottom level, like say you're in a tower, and number one, making a tower would be easy to do, I think. I've already seen, it looks pretty damn simple, put it that way. You just build up the various polygons and whatever other shapes you want to make to put it at the top, and then boom, extrude, exclude, smoothing, how many sides you want. You can have how many sides you need, how many division points you need, whatever angles you want. It doesn't have to be a perfect square. It doesn't have to be a perfect it doesn't have to be a perfect polygon or whatever. It can be whatever geometry you can think of will work. And I think that's cool, because then I can get into getting the 90% of the car above the wheels from a tower view, and that might be good enough for me. Because then if I'm not worried about the rails and I'm just going to deal with the cars themselves, at the very least I could possibly deal with, say the view was from the tower, and I didn't go into detail too much as far as the direction of the cars. Then I could start using waypoints to point it, and I already know how to do that. I've done that. It's fairly simple. I already did that in the 2D version. It's very easy to point the rotation based on a waypoint, and it's pretty simple to track that parameter of where the car is down the line and stuff like that. I mean, you take a look at stuff like this. I mean, I can do these container trains. I may not have every rivet or whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. If it looks like a container train, I can have the textures, the CAI or whatever, and just get nice images of them. Put the texture on. Boom. it's done. I can get a quite a bit of rolling stock in probably definitely by the end of this year. I don't see why not. I don't. I don't see why I can't do it. If my goal is to get the rail. I want the rail to work. I want it so bad to work. Because if I can get this curve to work, which I think I can, and then I don't have to point these things at all, they point themselves. The only thing I have to do is make sure the switches are set up and make sure I have procedures set up inside how to handle one, the switches, how to handle running against a switch, what would happen, how to handle those things, but more importantly, how to handle derailment. Because I'm not out to create chaos. I'm not out to, this isn't going to be a crash 'em up simulator. I don't care about that. That's not the point. That's not why I'm interested in having the derailments or anything like that. Really, I could care less about the derailments. The derailments mean nothing. I just want to have the physics in there, because then you're relying on the actual geometry of the track, and the game engine already can handle it. So if the game engine can handle it, then you're not calculating it. You're not using processes. You're not using processing power, and you can save that calculations for more important things like air pressure and keeping track of AI procedures. As far as, train comes in, okay? It comes into, what is this, Fort Erie maybe? I think this looks like Fort Erie to me. Train comes into Fort Erie, has 2 cut of cars. He's got 1 drop for NS, and he's got the rest that goes over to the States. NS comes over to Canada. He gets so far, how many pieces he's got to go, or how many cars he has to move forward. Cuts his car, moves forward far enough, clear of the switch, turns the switch, backs it up, clears in the switch. Of course, they're checking for lengths on all of this stuff, and making sure that there's enough room and enough capacity for whatever the cut is, etc., well in advance. In fact, that's decided well before before even if any of the switching takes place. You got to make sure you have the room. And it does all that, and that's it. Then it heads over. That's what I want. I want the AI to be able to do that. And I don't think I quite finished why I'm so animate about having the AI being able to do that. Not to mention the AI dispatching. That's a whole other thing, but I'm not worried about the AI dispatching. I'm not worried about the logic behind that. I'm not really even worried about the logic behind AI switching. It's not that hard. It needs to be it needs to be dynamic. It can't be scripted. This isn't about scripts. This is about intelligence. And intelligence is not that hard to program to a computer. It's all logic. Logic programming I can do. I can use a text-based simulator, but the text-based simulator doesn't show you what the hell's happening. Yeah, I can do a screen and show you, okay, well, it moved these cars over to this because of this variable matched this set off, and it met this capacity, or I can do a 2D text thing or something where it shows where the trains are going to dispatch and why he took this siding, why the dispatcher put him in here, and all this other stuff. I can explain it. So in theory I could do it, but I haven't been interested in explaining that my theories work. I know my theories work. I'm not worried about my theories not working. Even if they're not 100%, and it's say it's 90% effective or 80% of a human, it's better than 100. Or sorry, it's better than 100. It's better than nothing. So I'm not worried about it. The important thing, the important failsafe has to be, first of all, the signal system is the ultimate failsafe, but the other one is cornfield meats with dispatching, and taking away signals without permission and all this other stuff. Like basically within the rules. Otherwise, you're dealing with the signal equipment, and the signal equipment already should have those redundancies inside. So you get that, you're fine. That's no problem. The reason why I need the visual for this is it isn't me that I need to prove this concept works. I need to prove this concept to the entire community and to basically sell this product. This is the way I have to do it. This is the only way it's going to work. I need this to be... I know I'm not going to be the best train simulator. I know that. That's okay. I'm not worried about being the best. What I need to do is go with the strengths and my desire and what I feel is missing in a train simulator and say, yes, this is what's going into my train simulator. Whether it's a full-blown simulator or whether it's just a Yardmaster utility or something like that, I need to focus that energy on that. I don't need to focus on the 3D modeling software or all that other garbage. And believe me, that just spins my head. It was spinning my head so much. I was looking at some of the coding, and there's ways of doing it within the code because you can calculate the curves and the Benzine curves and all this other crap using C# code, and it just blew my mind, the amount of coding and the formulas and all this other stuff. And it's just like, wait a minute, why do I need this? And then all of a sudden I come around and here's something built right into Unity. I don't need to do it. All I have to do is pluck the shapes in and move a few of the sliders around, and boom, all of a sudden I have a curve, and it's built right in. And all I have to do is basically have it so that I put a force to the wheels. The wheels are attached to the trucks. The trucks are attached to the with the chassis to the rest of the cars. All the cars are connected by couplers. You start moving the engine, the cars go with you, boom, that's it. You have a train. You go around a curve, as long as you're going in the right speed, your train stays on the tracks, everything's fine. You're able to move around. There's no waypoints or anything like that. You just move. And as far as dispatching goes, it's a matter of decisions along the line. You look 30 minutes ahead. Just like how I dispatch. You look 30 minutes ahead to get 15 minutes of track. So every 30 minutes you're overlapping to get 15 minutes of track. You do this, you repeat that process every 15 minutes and you update. That's how you dispatch. At least that's how I dispatch. Doesn't mean how everybody else dispatches. Everybody dispatches in their own way. Every dispatcher does it differently. But it's a proven logical method that I can apply into code. If I can do that and I can break it down logically, which I can, I'm pretty good at that. I got no problem with problem solving skills and being able to take my thoughts and say, this is how you do it logically. The problem I have is trying to figure out how to deal with the technology that I really don't know how to take advantage of. And hopefully this is a good thing. I'm pretty excited about it. But I've been excited before, so I don't want to pump myself up too much. But at least I have some outs here. Obviously my goal is to have the track. Get that. If I can get that, I'm going to be ecstatic. Because then the universe, my oyster, or whatever the hell the stupid saying is, then from there it's basically my world. Screw trains. Why would I do trains when I can build a 3D world right in Unity, and I can see it build and build it my way, however the hell I want to build it. And if I want to change elevation, all I do is change a parameter. Boom. Want to move everything up? I just move it up. It's simple. And really, it doesn't really matter if I get the elevation right or anything like that. That don't mean diddly squat. Because unlike the simulators that are out there, this is going to do something that no simulator has been able to do, and that is having an AI switcher. And who knows? Maybe there's a simulator out there that wants to do it. I don't care. Good luck. Hey, if you guys can do it, I'll probably buy your program. But I don't think anybody cares about that. And the reason why, like I said, is the reason why this is so important. I probably haven't finished my thought on that. Is for single player or for multiplayer, you're relying on the crowd. The crowd needs to be there to keep the railroad going. You lose the crowd, you lose the momentum, then you lose your capacity. You try to expand your capacity, it can't keep up with demand, suddenly you have a crew shortage. Then what do? You have to annul trains, or you have to start doing things differently and non-prototypically, and that just screwy as hell. So you start with small regions. Okay, I'm starting with a small region. That's a good sign. I'm also going to start with AI, and I'm going to start with AI switching. I'm going to start it from the beginning. Why am I going to do that? Because I'm going to keep on building on, and I can expand all the hell I want, and I'm never going to lose that ability because I'll always have the rest of the network being able to do what it does. Simple. That part's simple. It's not that hard. And no, I'm not making the work of all these guys who've done simulators out to be how would you say? Out to be like, oh yeah, it's simple. It's not. I say it's simple. I say my concepts are simple. What's not simple is what people have already been able to do with 3D simulators as far as the visuals, the physics, the multiplayer. Those are great things. Multiplayer is awesome. What Run 8 did is awesome. To have an operating hub, it's awesome. You know, those are really cool things that have advanced the community and have advanced train simulation. What's missing? What's missing out of Train Sim World 2? I've said it. It's repeat playability. It's kind of boring too. I mean, granted. But wouldn't it be cool if all of a sudden, you know, some of those trains actually had a purpose? Instead of just picking a bunch of cars out of your pile of cars and just throwing them together, even if they're part of your liveries or whatever. Wouldn't it be cool if those AI trains suddenly, you know, one was behind or whatever, and he was ahead of you, and you're an intermodal train, and he's pulled over to the side so that you can shoot right past him. I don't know if there's an overtake in Train Sim World 2. I haven't seen one yet, nor am I interested in trying to find one. I'd be curious if there is one. If there is, great, but those are the type of things. Nobody's here. I put everybody to sleep. Oh, somebody said hi. Oh, thank you. But because I got a like, so that's cool. But yeah, those are the type of operations that were really cool in multiplayer, because when you had a bunch of guys together, and you still do, some of the more popular servers can still, you know, have a relatively, even the smaller servers that are out there, and can do it to a certain way, even if it's not 100% as real as it could be. At least it's something. It's just being something is not good enough for me. I've been where it's more than something. I've been where it was as real as it gets. Like I said, I go back to Run 8 version. I go Run 8 version 2 when it just hit, and we were in a freaking heyday. We had 3 subdivisions: Cajon, Needles, and Mojave. That was it. And you could sit up at that Y in Barstow. I could dispatch with one other person, and you could have 10 other people on. You'd have a couple people, one person in Barstow. Really, you could have a hump operator over in West Colton, but it wasn't as critical. Mojave wasn't as critical. Barstow was the main deal. Everything else was locals, running locals. So this is what happens. That was as good as it gets, because it wasn't too big of a. There was still enough people, and the region wasn't expanded too much. Once you start expanding too much, even your biggest groups can't handle the workload. The other thing too is, for a 24/7 server, if it is to do 24/7, true 24/7, it needs to operate 24/7. In order for that to happen, now I'm not saying, and this has never happened, but that's okay, because we used the stop clock thing, and it worked fine. It was a necessary thing to do. We'd stop the clock, we'd run our sessions, and then we would open it up for switching only. But that's how the Southwest server still runs today. It's open 24/7 for catching up on the switching, but it only runs dispatch sessions on scheduled sessions. That's when there's dispatchers ready. A bunch of people get together. They run trains. They run switchers. They run Barstow. They do the whole thing. And that's how they did it. That's how RTS did it. That's how the Southwest server does it. And I mean, they do things a little bit differently than what I did. I think they're in a different era now and all kinds of things. But that's cool. But there's you got to play little games. I had to play games to get it to work. But even with the games we played, we got it to work. We got it to feel as real as it gets, and it felt as real as it gets. Dispatching those territories, sitting there doing a live stream and watching trains go through, the ones that I was dispatching, really felt special. It felt like I was dispatching real people. Not all those trains were real people. Some of them were, some of them weren't, but there was real people on there, and the thing was, the real people were doing the work that was necessary to keep the trains moving. So that's where it felt like you were part of a system. You take something like Train Sim World 2, now all of a sudden you got the eye candy, but you don't have the repeat playability. Multiplayer in itself had the repeat playability, but once it got too big, that's where it runs into issues. Open Rails was another one that I looked at recently. They're still developing. They're still doing stuff. They're a volunteer group. They're kind of like me at this point right now, and I'm not saying I'm volunteer, because the only volunteer thing I ever did was the beta, doing activities and stuff, which a lot of people do, but actually doing the RTS beta back in version 1 of Run 8, so, or having a server, which other people do, but being able to program that, not too many people programmed volunteer stuff for Run 8. I did. Obviously, Mr. Balls with the external dispatcher is huge. It's been there. It was there back in the days we were running, we were running our beta team. for Run 8. And that stuff was cool. To have a guy on there who was, who would be part of our beta running sessions, and he had external dispatcher, and he was testing it out. He was testing out his external dispatcher. I was testing out my RTS server, and good times. And the team was able to test out Run 8. So it was a win-win-win-win for everybody. And those are the kind of things that really helped the entire community on those first steps before everything became official, or even after. But probably after at this point, because I think external dispatcher didn't come in until it was already released, if I recall. But there's just like, trains is the closest AI thing that I can think of, but it's still scripted. It's scripted AI. Other than the AI dispatching, it has some redundancy and it has some intelligence, but there is limitations to it. And I'll show you what I mean by that, hopefully sooner than later. Because my goal is to, show people that I'm not nuts. The reason why I've been, hammering this home for a long time. And the reason why I post a message up there, I know a lot of people are happy with it. That's fine. I know it can be better. I've seen it better. I've seen train simulators better. I know it can be better. I want to get back to where it was 2 years ago. I can't go back. I can't turn back time, and I can't live in the past. So what do? Do you give up on it? Do you just go out, like tomorrow I'll go out watch trains? Okay, fine. Lately I've just been doing Truck Simulator. American Truck Simulator. Okay. Not ideally what I want to do, but it's fun. American Truck Simulator has repeat playability. Sure, I'm discovering new areas and I'm rediscovering new places, and there's an extensive network, and there's enough challenges with goofs on the road, how they drive, and trying to, constructions come up here and there, and there's millions of possibilities depending upon where you're delivering and the way they want you to park and all this other stuff. So there's constantly challenges, and when you're going to have your rest and all that other stuff. So ATS is great. ATS, the repeat playability in that is just freaking awesome. That thing I could play forever. But that's not my main passion. I don't drive truck. There's a part of me that not wished I did, but there was a part of me that was ready to do it. I'm glad I didn't. Family's more important to me right now. My son's more important to me now than to be on the road, and I think I would have got miserable real quick, because the anxiety issues would have probably got to me, and my sleep disorders would have probably got to me. It would not have been good. I was prepared everything else. I was prepared to drive. I like driving. As I've gotten older, it's been tougher. The last couple of vacations, I really noticed it. And to drive in and out all day, if you got entertainment and stuff like that to keep you going, but it's not easy. It's not, driving truck for that many hours on the road, or for that matter, a train either. It's not easy going day in and day out on the same tracks, and being able to do that. So none of that's easy. And I don't have experience to that, but I got a pretty good idea about that. But I think I've hammered it home now. So I mean, bottom line, I want to get back to where I was and go beyond. I want to be able to have a system in place that I will be able to expand as much as possible and never run into a capacity issue. I want to start with single player, eventually maybe multiplayer. I mean, multiplayer is the thing. I know that. Multiplayer is fun. You get your friends over and all this other stuff. I get that. But I want to focus on single player first. And the way to focus on single player is make sure single player is right. Single player has to have repeat playability into it. It has to have automation. It has to have all those things. Every time you have a run on a route, it's different. Despite the fact that a lot of these runs are boring, there's a lot of things that can happen on these runs that are different. Whether it's the scheduling, the timing, the delays, equipment failures. I see it all the time in my small amount of time that I'm out there. I mean, you have engines that are going down and they're trying to get the engineering to try to get one up, or they're dealing with limited power, or they're running on the law, or all kinds of crazy things in operations, and having guys that are working in the yard go pick up a train over, in St. Catharines or whatever, because they're going to run on the law, and 562, which is a yard crew, goes and picks up oh god, man, I'm getting tired. Whatever train it is. I was going to say 531, but that don't make sense. 421. But yeah, those are the kinds of operation things that make it interesting. Or you got the Seaway. Sometimes they're going to be delayed by 45 minutes because there's a lot of ships. Other times, you're going to get right across. Sometimes, even when the bridge goes down, it doesn't close properly because it's an older bridge, and they end up having to get an engineer, and the guy's just sitting there, and rail fans like me go and buy them Little Caesars to be cool rail fans. And that happened a few months back. I think I told you guys that. Guy goes pizza across the radio. I asked the guys if he wanted anything. I knew exactly what he wanted. I was heading for Little Caesars for lunch with my son, so I picked up 2 of them, and I drove up to the cab at Port Robinson West and came up to the car. It's like, you guys are listening. It's like, you guys are listening to me. It's like, yeah, I heard something about pizza. It's like, I said, then we started talking. It was cool, but they're very appreciative. And I didn't ask for any money. I didn't ask for any favors. I didn't ask for a view of the cab or any stupid things like that. Hey, if they offered, great. I would have took them up on it, but I wasn't going to do that. That wasn't that. I was doing that out of being cool. I mean, they provide enough entertainment for me. I don't need to bug them and see what the cab looks like, or talk to them too much. Let them have their lunch and get some enjoyment, because they're stuck there. They get paid by the mile, and they're just stuck there and trying to get out so they can get back home and see their families. I mean, not an easy life. But for the sim and for hobbyists like ourselves, we just want to run a train once in a while, and we don't want to expect something that's just boring and puts us to sleep. We want to have the fun and the not the randomization for the sake of randomization, but the having it actually do something and be a similar yet different experience every time. So yeah, you have your familiar trains. Like I can take a look at a train like that right there. Yeah, I can take a look at that and know it's 422 by looking at it, just by the direction it's headed. And yeah, of course, that's the only two trains that go there, 421. But they look, you got the auto parts on the front, blah blah blah. Looks pretty much the same. If it was combined, and if that thing's running in Toronto, like we were up in Toronto last weekend, I could tell which trains were 421 and 422. Not so much 421. We never got to see him. He was long gone by then. But 422, we could tell when he was coming through. Pick him out. It was easy to pick him out. So what's cool about single player is you want to run time. You want to run time fast. You want to, you can run time as fast as you want. Because if the AI can do it, the AI can do it fast. It doesn't have to do it in real time. It can do it fast. It can do it however you want. You can start simulating days in advance if you want. The next time you come through, it's 7 days later or whatever in real life, and sure enough, it's 7 days later or whatever, and all of a sudden you want to take control of another train, and the yard's a little different, and maybe one train, maybe it's plugged up because of some issues from the night before, or something like that, and you can look in the log and see what happened. Or you're sitting downstairs and you're listening to a podcast or something like that, and you just want to relax and take a look and watch some virtual switching going on, you get to see it. Or if you want to take a virtual cab ride or whatever, you get to see it. Because these trains are going to keep on running. And you get multiplayer involved, well, then all of a sudden, not only do you have the mechanism to have the dispatcher architecture in place, but now you have everything in place. Anybody who comes onto your server is going to be able to see the trains and know that there's trains for them, but they have the ability to see other people too. And they can have their friends on there and people they know and get to talk on the radio or whatever. So you have cool stuff like that. But anyways, I'm still rambling on. I'm excited about this. Like I said before, this is potentially a game changer. We'll see. It's Probuilder. It's going to get me building objects, I'm pretty sure of. I mean, yes, it's prototype levels. And the reason why prototyping's important, oh, that's cool. I didn't know that had all that stuff in there, but anyways. I guess it was that one website. The reason why prototyping is important is because you get a visual representation of what you're trying to do, but you don't have to worry about the details. And really, that's what you should be focusing on when you're programming anyways. You shouldn't be focusing on making it look $1,000,000. You need to focus on the code and make sure the logic behind it. Because if there's any indication, you take a perfect example, Train Sim World 2 looks pretty good. It's one of the best looking sims out there. Okay. Train Sim World 2, I couldn't even last a week. And I was done. And I had it for free. I had plenty of more runs I could have took. There's plenty more schedule. There was mainline runs, switching runs, crap going around where I can fix signs or whatever the hell the stupid quests are on there. I got a game with quests right now. It's fun enough as it is, but if I want that kind of thing, I'd go into a game like that. I wouldn't be trying to say, oh, hey, I want to run a simulator and I'm doing quests. No thanks. So, that's just it in a nutshell. What makes it appeal, and why I played Run 8 for years, Why I even like Freight Yard Manager. Freight Yard Manager is the best railroad simulator out there still, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know of anything that built any better railroad simulator than Freight Yard Manager. As far as the best train simulator, I give that to Run 8 still, to this day. I do not put Train Sim World 2 in that category. Train Sim World 2 may have the best eye candy for a train simulator slash game. That's all it's got. It's got nothing else. And this is why, for me, Run 8 and what it did for me years ago at version 2 was the peak. And it will never get any better than that unless, as far as I'm concerned, either version 3 comes out or there's new region. That's the only way. It's the only way it can happen. You're not going to grow up enough people, I don't think, to do it. I could be wrong. I don't think so. You might be able to get more people to get into the program, but to be able to do that, no. And of course, there's other open rails is always a possibility. They're going to keep working at it. That's all they can do. Just keep working at it and plugging away. That's all you can do. And they all have jobs. I have jobs. I have a son. I mean, so get a bunch of prototypes in there, like making a bunch of prototype cars and all that other stuff, and just being able to have some fun with it. Suddenly, all of a sudden, there's some playability to it. And when there's playability to it and you're programming something, that's gold. Trust me, I know. I remember the days of RTS beta. Trust me. I ran a server. I ran the beta. I was able to be motivated to program because it was part of my server and it was improving different aspects of the operation. So yeah, I was motivated. I remember those days. And now I'm motivated, but I'm also scared. Because I'm very scared right now. I'm scared to fail. I put my name out here. I'm not saying that, to blow my load or say, oh yeah, this is going to be it, and then here's a failure again. Here's Sean failing again, and that's what it feels like. It feels like I've been here before, and I'm sick of being here. Like, I want this to work. You don't know how bad I want this to work. And I don't want this to be pie in the sky crap that I can't achieve. So at least I have some outs here. If I can't get the track to work, then at least then I can go into something along the lines of a yard simulator, and at least that's better than nothing. And I could always come back to it if I find ways of doing it. It beats the hell out of a tech simulator. Tech simulator ain't gonna cut it. It's just no. I couldn't fathom it. But having a yard type thing, or even a hump tower or something like that, where I have coordinates and then I'm able to have all these different car types now, that's a big thing. Just having this the ability to now have the different shapes, and not just because before I was limited to cubes, cylindricals, not cylindricals as in cylindrical hoppers, but cylindrical pieces. In other words, something that looked like a freaking cylinder. So I guess the closest representation would be this tank. So you'd have the tank on top. I was able to do tank cars, box cars, probably auto racks, probably intermodal, engines, really rudimentary engines, I don't know. I'm sure it would be a way, and it's not going to be perfect. I don't care. The fact is, if I'm in a distance, especially if I'm at a distance, I mean, if I'm in a yard office or a tower and I'm looking at cars going in, I'm not going to be looking for rivets, I can tell you that. So, and I don't have to worry about the engines because the engines are running the hump. And I don't know if I'm doing the hump yet. Remains to be seen. That's the other reason why I want the physics to work. I want the track to work so I can get the physics to work. To actually have a hump controller. Now, mind you, I'm not focused on a hump controller, but if I can't get the track to work, that's probably what I would focus my energy on. I would focus towards a hump controller type thing, because then I would have to deal with calculating different things as opposed to dealing with the actual physics. Be dealing more with I'd be dealing more with well, I guess I'd be dealing with physics, but it doesn't seem like it. I guess I would. I don't know. I'd be dealing with something. Put it that way. But I'd have to point it towards something, and the weight would still be there, I suppose. But there's nothing like having it on rails and having it on a grade, and then, boom. Even if I can't, if I have it on a rail or whatever that's not visible or something like that, and who knows. But I don't know how else to describe it, but I'd find a way. So I have some outs here. That's a good thing. But the ultimate for me is to get the rails in, then figure out the switches, figure out the frogs, figure out all the little pieces that I need to get the architecture of the rails in place, and then everything else is left to the then once you give it the force, whether it's the force from the engine or the movement, you're connected to the train, it starts moving, then it's dealing with gravity, it's dealing with weight, it's dealing with all the physics. Engines are right inside Unity. Yes, I'm not dealing with air just yet, but in that case there wouldn't be any air. Let's say like switching in a yard or something like that to start out with. I would probably deal with air later on, once I got onto the main lines. But by then I would have, basically, if I start out Port Robinson, I would have this this 8-track yard, but I would have this whole thing. If I'm just working the yard office, say without a hump, I can still do this and have cameras here and do a few things, but I'd probably go with a hump in that case. I'm not interested in doing a hump right now. I'm more interested in getting the tracks down, getting all the car types, getting the switches, getting all the architecture here, getting some of the buildings, some of the other, trees would be nice. I got trees. I can find trees somewhere. Light poles, lighting, groundwork, ground textures, that's fine. I can do that in Unity. That's not a big deal. I can even do, the hills and stuff like that. Get that all in place, and then just start coding and put the AI systems in place, and boom, then I'd have it for Welland. Here's Welland Yard. This is CP Welland Yard, so this is their main hub. I'd have that. I would have CP rail. I would have CN rail. I would have a short line. I'd have all that other stuff that would start coming in. This whole operation would be eventually in place. You want to run CP, you go run CP. You want to go run CN, you go run it. You want to go run the short line, you go run the short line. Meanwhile, all these operations are going on at the same time, and they're running themselves. They can run totally autonomously. Yeah. You can tell I'm losing my brain power, but at least I'm awake enough to be excited, so that's good. Anyways, so yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm gonna try to not procrastinate and get to it. I'm kind of nervous to try it, and then we'll have to see. Probably won't get to it until Monday, I'm hoping. Monday's going to be the closest time where I have the most time available, so I'm hoping Monday that I'll have plenty of time to look into it. And tomorrow I'm going to spend some time with my son, and then I'll have a couple hours. Who knows, I might do a little bit tomorrow night if I get bored, which I might. So, Jesus, Murphy, hour 20 minutes, 11:30, I'm going to bed. I know it's a Saturday night, I can stay up later, but I'm tired. Been up early. Been up since before 7 o'clock this morning because I went to bed early, bored last night. I'm not bored tonight. I'm just all excited, so that's cool. I don't want to go to bed, but I'm getting tired, so better cut it as I had now. So, anyways, that's the news, guys. Hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully I've finally found a way to get around this, and we'll get through it. So, anyways, talk to you later. Have a good one. I'll keep you posted.